Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Google for Africa event. I'm really excited to present today's webinar and introduction to Google for nonprofits. I am Edward Schwebel, and I'm working as a program manager in the google.org product giving team. And today, I'm going to give an overview on Google for nonprofits and the products that belong to this program. We are also going to look at some of the most common nonprofits challenges and see how some of Google products can be turned into solutions. We'll have time for Q&As at the end. Feel free to use the chat box to ask for questions while I'm presenting, and we'll do our best to answer. Note that today's session is not aimed at troubleshooting or answering really specific account optimization questions. That being said, I'll try my best to share some tips and provide you with a list of helpful resources toward the end. So most of you are probably working in organizations that are not registered on the program. So you are probably wondering, what is exactly Google for Nonprofits? Well, Google for Nonprofits is a program built with nonprofits in mind. When it comes to nonprofits, we know that your organization is working through passion. Whether it's bringing clean and safe drinking water to everyone on the planet, like Charity Water on your screen, or whether your focus is caring for people or natural places in your local community, organizations like yours are changing the world every day, and we'd like to thank you for that. Yet that's always been part of Google DNA to aspire to make the world a better place as well. At Google, technology is at the core of what we do, and we believe that it can help nonprofits focus on what really matters. So that's why we decided back in 2011 to bring the best of Google to nonprofits around the world at no charge. Our program is today getting increasingly global. When it comes to Africa, we opened last year in 2020 to 3 new countries: Nigeria, Tanzania, and Ghana. They joined the 3 that were already part of the program: South Africa, Botswana, and Kenya. Today, it's more than 400,000 nonprofits in 67 countries around the world. We are growing. Up to 1,000 nonprofits join the program every week, and we are really waiting for you. All these nonprofits face a unique set of challenges. This is even more so since our lives and working environment have dramatically changed in the last 18 months. Whether it's to help all your colleagues and partners keep connected with you while working from different locations and time zone, recruiting and training new volunteers, or finding new ways to engage with your supporters when it's becoming increasingly hard to reach them. Well, when you join the Google for Nonprofits program, you get access to this set of products that should help you solve these challenges. And once again, for free. The solutions that are offered to nonprofits, whether it's about improving collaboration through Google Workspace, reaching out to more people with search advertising through ad grants, or inspiring supporters about your mission and accomplishments with YouTube or Maps, they are all aimed at tackling your challenges. Our products can help nonprofits like yours become more visible and efficient to eventually spend more time on your mission and what matters to you most. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming. Trying to understand what is a priority for your nonprofit today. No need to learn all from the start. Based on your specific challenges, try to focus on what matters most to you, and we'll see some examples later. So let's go into details. First, Google Workspace for Nonprofits, our suite of collaboration tools. They are free for up to 2,000 users, board members, staff, volunteers. Nonprofits can get access to a better way to communicate efficiently with Gmail addresses, You can actually use the domain of your nonprofit. You will then look more professional and get more trust than with a personal email address. You can also communicate through Google Meet, and we are adding more features every day to this video conference application. You can now use polling, breakout rooms, attendance tracking. When it comes to collaboration, sharing documents is also really important. Well, you can store your files with 30 gigabytes per user, and you got access to shared drives, which is normally not available. Collaborating can also boost your productivity with real-time tools like Google Docs, Slides, Drive. Wherever you are, you can use the same doc at the same time, leave comments, suggestions, and check the history. We all had this moment where a file would disappear. Well, now with the history turned on, you can actually get back and get all your work back. Since work from home has become a norm for many of us, these tools to collaborate and share documents with your colleagues has become increasingly important. And also with what we've been facing in the last 2 years, especially for NGOs that works with kids. The need to train people and to move operations online has also bring more importance to the access that we give you to classrooms. Classrooms is a really useful and free way to train people, create sessions, create classes, and also keep attendance, keep track of the attendance of your students, give grades, give comments, and organize a full school activity. Sometimes this is not enough for some of you, some NGOs that are growing. They might need more storage, more security, more access control. Well, keep in mind that this is the first version that we offer for free to nonprofits, but you can actually upgrade to Google Workspace Business and Enterprise. And we give discounts for nonprofits. Try to understand what is your need if you really need to upgrade to more advanced solutions. You can upgrade from Google Workspace for free for nonprofits to the discounted upgraded editions directly in the admin console. So let's look at one example of an organization that has been using Google Workspace. Nuru International is helping farmers fight extreme poverty in Africa. They have made in recent years every effort to eliminate overhead costs so that funds raised go to training local leaders with tools and knowledge to lead the communities. As a virtual operation, they depend on home offices and co-working space rather than a central headquarter office, which allows them to invest more in their partner communities. So eventually, they employ across 11 different time zones, meaning they rely heavily on digital tools to collaborate. As Kim Do, their strategic communications director, would say, in any company, in any organization, people adopt technology at varying levels and varying speeds. This is why it's so important to get an all-in-one solution, meaning that we get trained on the same suite of tools. They also mentioned that passing along Google Drive links instead of attaching files for each employee to download was especially helpful in regions lacking strong internet. Working in remote rural areas where you get regular power outage and limited bandwidth makes the use of this kind of solutions even more critical. One more example of a product that we actually give access for free within Google for Nonprofits is a YouTube nonprofit program. As you know, video can create emotions and bring people close to your cause. That's why using video is a really powerful tool to engage with your audience with interactive content. It's a really powerful tool as well to inspire empathy for your cause and to bring offline events online. We actually give you the access to some specific features that are usually not available except for partners of our program. And you can use link anywhere cards to drive action. Like, for example, drive donations by redirecting people directly from your YouTube channel or videos to a landing page on your website. Once again, Nuru has also been using YouTube to reach a wider audience. As I say, video is critical for the outreach because it's a primary way of connecting with supporters in other continents, with the farmers that they serve in sub-Saharan Africa. It's really positive and remarkable to see their donors connect so strongly with their vision after they see the work they've been doing on the ground in Kenya and Ethiopia, for example. They give Nuru the ability to seamlessly deliver the latest video updates in a dynamic way as their donors are on the go. Plus, they really love the way YouTube allows to fully customize their page into playlist and a full extended brand experience. One other example of organization that is using YouTube is Imagine ATL. Imagine ATL is an organization that trains, equips, and inspires the young, the Generation Z, aged 11 to 24, to build careers in the creative and media industries. They've been partnering with schools and opportunity in youth in the metro area of Atlanta in the US over the past 5 years. And they have trained more than 3,000 young people who have produced more than 100 movies. Well, actually, they've been using YouTube to share this content, and they realized that it was not only a way to showcase the work of the students, but also to boost the awareness of the whole organization. They've been featured on the Best of Social Impact playlist on our official YouTube Social Impact channel. Third product that I would like to put emphasis on, and not the least, is Google Ad Grants. As you know, it works just like Google Ads online advertising. It displays your message to people who are searching for nonprofits or causes like yours. It is, again, an incredible and powerful way to connect with your audience, searching for your cause and for your mission. We provide access to up to $10,000 free of media space and free text ads on google.com. You can use them to raise awareness, drive traffic to your website. Obviously, all of that you can track with Google Ad Grants interface or through Google Analytics, which is also free. One example of an organization that uses Google Ad Grants to solve some challenges is Kiva. Kiva is a microfinance organization that connects lenders and borrowers around the world. These borrowers often do not have access to capital to grow their businesses, whether it's medical assistance or education to families or communities, or to improve the overall livelihood of a region. Well, in order for Kiva to connect these borrowers to lenders, they are using some digital marketing efforts, including ad grants. Ad grants has been now a major source of online traffic to their website. When a potential lender is searching how they can participate in microfinance, Kiva can generate highly qualified leads and find the right people that are really interested in their mission and already looking to get involved. They've also used YouTube to activate the community by encouraging their fellows, their volunteers, and their user community to create and upload videos. Eventually, they've been providing more than $1.3 billion in loans to 3.3 million farmers, entrepreneurs, and families around the world. And they consider that Google Ad Grants and YouTube have been an integral part of their advertising strategy. So you can raise donations through ad grants, and you can also do many other things. For example, Go Volunteer, a German nonprofit, is using ad grants to hire volunteers and interns. They've been connecting volunteers to volunteering opportunities online. And they have been growing in size and scope. And now I've been able to connect 250,000 unique users to 3,000 volunteers. It was born as a small project and now reached a scalable size thanks to ad grants and other solutions it's been using. Google Earth and Maps is probably not as well known as a part of Google for Nonprofits, but it's also a great way to tell stories about your organization, your missions, and your projects. You can actually show the places that matter to your nonprofit with Google Earth creation tools. Some organizations also use custom maps with a free credit of $250 a month on Google Maps API through platform credits. It enables them to visualize the impact or to show exactly to supporters where they are having impact through donations. Charity Water, that I was talking about before, is an NGO that helps bring clean and safe water to everyone around the world. And they really want to engage with supporters to raise funds, increase awareness, and reach new donors. Well, they've been using Google Maps to connect donors with their donation. Upon making a contribution to Charity Water, donors are directly sent to a GPS coordinate, and so photos where they can track their donations and see exactly where they had impact. Food Finder has been using the Google Maps API as well. It's an organization that connects people in need with the closest food pantries. They've been helping many Americans at risk of food insecurity to actually get assistance. The majority of their pantries are volunteer run with a limited digital presence. So it's actually really hard to find them online. This gap information was recognized by their co-founder back a few years ago. To help connect people with the actual locations and services, they've been using map instead of a list, so users are able to see the locations of food assistance providers, the density of resources, and the supply of emergency food. With COVID-19 creating more issues in food security, Food Finder went from helping 700 people per day to 3,000, and site traffic has increased by 8 times. So this is a non-comprehensive list and examples of organizations that I've been using 4 of the biggest products that we are providing within Google for Nonprofits program. So what can Google do for your organization? Let's share a few examples of actually some tips of how you can match these solutions with the unique challenges that we were categorizing at the beginning of this presentation. First, how can we help you feel connected while working from different locations, different time zones, or with fellows and colleagues and partners, volunteers working from home? Well, Google Workspace is definitely, as we were already mentioning, a way to help you work better together. What we recommend we're doing at Google is to create a regular stand-up meeting with the help of Google Calendar and Meet to keep connected with your teams. You can also create a group chat on specific projects where you can keep a more informal communication, answers quickly to questions, and avoid getting swamped into more and more emails every day. And also, it's a great way to collaborate in real time from everywhere. Google Meet, as I was mentioning, is now integrated with more and more features. It is our video conference service that you can join from a simple URL or a dial-in number. It is easy and free for anyone to join. And the ability to adjust video resolution makes it easier for people with low bandwidth. You can also access to some newly added features like in-meeting translation or auto captioning. And you can also communicate through Google Chat, which is now increasingly integrated into Gmail. Directly upload items from Google Drive, join meetings on Google Meet directly from the chat, and create, as I was saying, a group chat with your team. It's really important with a new paradigm in a new situation that we are facing to make sure everyone's voice is heard. And collaborating with tools like Google Docs, where everyone can participate in the creation of content in real time, is really important. You can share your presentation with your colleagues, as I just did with the one I'm presenting today, and they can add comment, and we can work together on it. One more challenge that you are facing is recruiting and training new volunteers. Well, you used to have traditional recruitment pools that are not that easy to use nowadays. And it's true for board members, it's true for new volunteers, and it's true even for interns. We acknowledge this difficulty, and we think that, well, you might want to recruit volunteers with some additional tools, start recruiting in a new way in addition to what you were doing before. Digital has become an important part of any recruitment strategy. Organizing recruiting events in the physical world used to be really long and time consuming. Whereas, well, with YouTube live streams, you can organize them from home. We see more and more nonprofit organizations actually implementing this kind of recruitment pools. And keep in mind that, well, at least this is my feeling as I'm talking to you today, that communication is becoming more and more informal through live streams, through chat. So do not hesitate to just broadcast from your own home, from your own living room, as I'm doing today. You can promote this specific events or other events with posts on social media and with other marketing and direct marketing techniques. And a way to actually track the answers and collect the feedback and collect the potential applications, hopefully, is to ask people to express interest with the Google form online. Most of you probably know about Google Forms. It's a great way to collect information. You will see a live example of it when filling the feedback form that we will provide you at the end. The answers to Google Forms get stored on spreadsheet, which is part of Google Sheets and Google Workspace. And eventually you can get rid of paper application forms and get back to the full list of applications, sort them, and create a database in a few clicks. You can also customize your Google Forms and the application process to your nonprofit. It's also becoming hard to train volunteers and keep them informed without live events that you used to do for them. Well, as we recognize that live events was also a way to thank them and to create a deeper relationship, there is still a potential to train volunteers and keep them informed through digital. You can use Meet to lead virtual trainings, as we are doing today, across location. And you can also use Google Sites to keep all volunteers aware of the information in one place. Google Sites is a tool provided by Google to create internal sites with information that will only be accessible to the people you share it with. Usually the people within your organization. It's fully customizable and you can update it as much as you want. And you can share it with some groups in your organization. We do recommend creating one specific group with all the volunteers so you can communicate with them through email directly without having to add them one by one. As I was mentioning before, Google Sites is a great way to keep contact with the volunteers. You can give them permission and make it a secure place that isn't public to share all the information they need to access and all the trainings. Also, Google Workspace, keep in mind that it can be a great free tool to train and create classes specifically for your volunteer. Finding new ways to engage with your supporters, that's not easy. It's actually one of the most common challenges that we hear, especially the difficulty of fundraising without fundraising events and the specificity of digital fundraising in Africa. Well, as we recognize that each country has its specificities and that digital fundraising, it's still growing on African continent, we think that growing your online presence as of now is a great bet on the future. You can create ad grants campaigns to drive online donations. You can use video on YouTube to drive empathy towards your cause. And I was mentioning the link to Anywhere card that enable to redirect people directly to your website, including a digital fundraising landing page. You can also organize meetings with online fundraisers on YouTube, just the way you would organize a training with volunteers. I recognize I've been talking a lot about ad grants since the beginning of this presentation. You probably all seen the result page of Google, but this is how it could look like. And it's probably likely a familiar view for you. At the top of the page are advertisements, followed by what we call organic links that are redirecting to relevant websites to the query you've been typing in the box. So the beauty of this ad is that they're really super relevant to what someone is searching for. And so they are really effective. Usually companies pay for them, but ad grants was created to give this resource for free to nonprofits. We have heard your feedback and reduced the activation steps needed to activate ad grants account once you are registered on Google for Nonprofits, from 10 to 2 steps. You can find much more details on the ad grants program and training at google.com/grants on our YouTube nonprofits page, and also obviously on our help center. So next question is how do I get started? Well, getting started with Google for Nonprofits start with registering to our program. So we count on you to review the eligibility requirements that are the following mostly. As I've been presenting in the introduction, we are now only open to 6 countries in Africa. So make sure that your entity is registered in one of the 6 countries if you want to be successful throughout your registration. You also have to be registered as a non-profit or a charitable organization in this country. So status varies among countries, and throughout the process, you will get connected with one of our partners, like TechSoup, to validate that your status is filling the requirements. You will also have to agree with the terms of the program. And until now, it is open to nonprofit organizations only. It cannot be used, or you cannot register as a government entity or organization if you're a hospital or a healthcare entity. If you're a school, academic institution, or university, we actually have another program called Google for Education that is covering some of the products we've just seen and others that are only relevant to teaching institutions. You can find a full list of country on our website if you are connecting from another continent. When you will have checked these eligibility requirements, you will be able to request an account on the Google for Nonprofits website. And it will take some time to wait for verification and answer to additional information that we may need. Then, and only then, you'll be able to activate and use our products. You will have to activate them one by one to be able to access each and every one of them. So that was an introduction to all the tools you can use to tackle your challenges with Google technology. This is the website where I advise you to go after if you want to register or activate some specific products. And I also want to give you some information about the ways to keep in touch with us. So once you are registered, you can update your preferences directly on the Google for Nonprofit platform. Ask to be registered to our newsletter, or to register to specific products communication. You can also follow us on social media to get the latest updates. On the youtube.com Google for Nonprofits page, you will get all the latest trainings on all the specific products I've been mentioning. We also organize live streams on specific products that we've been uploading on the YouTube channel. Last but not least, many of the questions will get answered on the support page. And you can engage with the community if you get further questions over there. So I would ask now to probably open for more Q&A, and we'll connect to my colleagues to see some of the questions that I could answer directly live. So we've got one question I can see there about mixing the different offerings, whether they are free or paid. Well, obviously, this is possible on most of the platforms I've been mentioning through this presentation. We've got access to the paid versions. So as I was mentioning, this is true for Workspace. You can still be part of Google for Nonprofit and update specifically your Workspace profile to get a business profile with increased control on the features, access for more than 2,000 profiles, access to from 30 gigabytes to up to 2 terabytes per user of drive space. And this is also true for Google Ad Grants, actually. You can, and many organizations are actually using both Ad Grants, free monthly credit, and also our paid services. Our algorithm actually differentiates Google paid ads and Google Ad Grants in our bidding system. And so for some strategies, it might be more efficient to use our paid solutions. And I could also probably talk to you about YouTube. Until now, you cannot get free access to YouTube ads or display ads. So as we give recommendation to create free content and also give you access to free features, a lot of nonprofits are also investing part of their marketing budget into paid YouTube ads so they can expand the reach of their videos. So I can also see a question still from Sebastien about country expansion. So until today, it's true that we have not opened the program to French-speaking Francophone countries in Africa. We've got, obviously, as you can imagine, plans to open to new countries. There is no specific plan now, but thank you for this comment. And we have had and received it several times, so we are taking it into account in our next release of the program within Africa. I've got also a question from Emily asking how can we share, if we can share more information about creating Google sites and what would be the benefits of an internal site. Well, actually, you will experience that the structure of drives, just like any folders in real life, is pretty simple. And the arborescence you can use is based on a succession of folders. Also have to warn you that the number of subfolders you can create within Google Drive is limited. So at some point you will run into limitation and you will not be able to create more folders and to create more in-depth organized sections. I think this is where Google Sites probably is really effective. It's, as any website, the information is probably easier to access when it's becoming complex, and also it will probably be a more immersive and engaging experience for example, your volunteers than a simple Google Drive section. Google Drive is still, I would say, the best place to share documentations, and as all the products within the one Google Galaxy are integrated, you will be able to put links to Google Drive documents directly within your Google site. So my recommendation would be, if we're talking about a complicated project, to create a site where all the relevant documentation and training material will be featured in one specific section. Thank you, Benjamin, for this question. You're asking how do nonprofit organizations, especially in Africa, just joining Google for Nonprofits, can best utilize the 10,000 monthly Google grants. So you're probably talking about the fact that when you start, it's probably not easy to reach people with this budget. It's actually quite a substantial monthly budget. I would probably advise you a few things. First of all, I would advise you to really leverage all your highlights and momentums during the year, especially if they resonate with a broader momentum within your community, within your region or country. We are seeing query level to be really influenced by seasonality. And so ad grants is also a matter of reactivity. So be sure to leverage what people are actually searching for at the moment. And as we say, 1 out of 10 queries typed on Google has never been typed before, ever. So it's really important to really stay updated on what's happening in your community. What are the real worries and concerns and questions that your audience is asking? I would also say that keeping track through Google Trends of the big topics within your cause area is also a way to make sure that you are covering some of the best, some of the most typed queries that are related to your mission. I would also probably advise to use some of our features, including some of our automated features to actually get through Google Ad Grants platform recommendations of keywords related to the content of your website. So it is the equivalent of dynamic search ads that you probably heard of, but on Ad Grants. And you can actually directly use this tool that is accessible on Google Ad Grants to scan your website and have some recommendations directly from Google on the queries that you should be positioned on. So this is a few recommendations that I would have. Obviously, lots of organizations are also getting brand queries and interest on their brand name. This is really dependent on the activity that your organization has as at a specific time. So, once again, I think seasonality and really leveraging the highlights and the high moments to create consideration and to leverage search volumes is the most important. We've got one question about certification training for Google Workspace. So as I know of, there is no specific certification for Google Workspace for nonprofits, but there are many training materials dedicated to this product and this platform. that are directly accessible either on the Google Workspace main website or on the Google Workspace support page and help center. So what I would do is I would highly recommend to actually get directly in touch with the materials created by the Google Workspace team and readily accessible for all of you, because Google Workspace for Nonprofit is actually one of the versions of Google Workspace as a whole. How long does verification take? If an NGO signs up to Google for Nonprofits? This is a question from Karen. Well, I would say it really depends. It can take a few days up to more than that, and sometimes much more. I would say that it will depend on your ability to provide the right documentation to prove that you are a charitable organization within your country. And also they will have to check all the eligibility requirements before they approve you access to the platform. One eligibility requirement that I did not mention originally in my presentation is actually the level of optimization of your website. So we consider that as we're trying to provide the best and relevant answer to any query on Google search, we also want our partners showcasing ads and Google and free ads to ad grants to provide relevant content on their website, so the full experience is really useful and not deceptive. So that's why we also have some eligibility requirements in terms of website optimization to join the program. They are quite basics, but in some cases it can take some time for an organization to comply to them in terms of readability, accessibility of the content, and also speed of access to your website. So this is a kind of requirement that can make a verification process take much longer. So now we've got a question from Nandi. Thank you for your nice word. Asking, how do we set up ads? You're probably talking about ad grants. So I would say you will, if you've never been trained, you will probably have to go through one of our trainings. So as I was saying, you've got on the YouTube channel of Google for Nonprofit a specific Google Ad Grants training that you can follow, and it will redirect you to also some specific links if you have additional questions. You will have to when you define your strategy for Google Ad Grants, I think one of the first and most important thing to do will be to define which objective you're trying to pursue with those campaigns. Do I want to raise donations? Do I want to recruit volunteers? Do I want to get more awareness? Do I want to talk to a really specific audience that is hard to reach? And then depending on that, your strategy and the campaigns you will create will probably be specific. I also recommend, if you can, to get some support from external providers. We have on our ad grants page a list of certified agencies that can help you with this process. I know from my experience of working with nonprofit organization in Africa that many of you are also supported by volunteers. that already have Outgrant's background. I will take 2 more questions, I think, and see if I've got some time left, but we are running towards the end. Thank you for so much interaction. So we've got a question from Woyo asking what instance would be the best to make use of Google Sites. So I think I probably replied to that already. I would say for your most complex internal projects, where actually you will have to work with several teams to provide access, and also where the architecture of the project requires a more complex architecture than just folders. And Emeka is asking if a Nigeria NGO can subscribe to Google Workspace for nonprofits. I can see that the team already replied, and yes, it is available in Nigeria. So I do highly recommend all the nonprofits from Nigeria, this great country to join. We already have some great organization part of our program, and we can't wait for welcoming you in the next future. Well, I think we are getting now towards the end of this session. Thank you so much for your questions, and thank you for being part of this amazing nonprofit effort within Africa. We are really proud to be able to support you, and we were really thrilled to welcome you to this event, Google for Africa. And I wish you a good end of the day wherever you are.